And as Europe debates how to better defend itself and Ukraine, the Czech Republic is facing an election that could dramatically shift the country's position in Europe. Parliamentary elections are being held on Friday and Saturday. And the current frontrunner is a populist who is critical of the European Union and the aid given to Ukraine.
Babis, the billionaire ex-prime minister, slated to make a comeback at the head of the ANO party. He calls himself a Trumpist and has promised to raise salaries, reduce taxes, and boost pensions. Babis has staked out positions that could set up a clash with the European Union.
The ANO movement knows and has experience that EU membership is primarily a fight for the interests of Czech citizens and the Czech Republic. And it's a defense against nonsense and regulations coming from Brussels.
The conservative governing coalition, called Together, is led by Petr Fial. He's been dogged by an energy crisis, inflation, and slow growth. Fial has meanwhile put the threat from Russia at the center of the campaign.
I'm afraid that the next government of national treason would push us to the east. We would lose our security and ultimately our prosperity.
Babis is a well-known figure in the Czech Republic. He was prime minister from 2017 to 2021 and was shadowed by allegations of fraud and questions about his actions during the country's communist past. An investigation into EU subsidy fraud is still ongoing. Babis doesn't want the Czech Republic to leave the EU, but rejects the EU's Green Deal and migration schemes. And he wants to end the Czech Republic's military support for Ukraine. However, his party is not predicted to win a majority, so he'll likely have to form a coalition that could complicate his policy positions. The prospect of returning to a Babis-led government has brought out strong feelings.
I want to be in Europe. I want to be in Western Europe. I don't want to be somewhere in the East, where things are the way they are.
This current government has brought our republic to complete devastation, destroyed everything it could, so I can't wait for it to end. And of course, the only possible successors are Babis and the ANO movement.
If Babis does take the reins again, he'll be the latest thorn in the EU's side, joining Hungary and Slovakia's leaders in that category.
And let's get more. We are joined by DW's Teri Schultz. So Teri, there's so much at stake in this election, especially regarding Ukraine and Prague's relations with the EU and NATO. Just walk us through it.
That's right, Sarah. Brussels certainly would not be looking forward to the return of Babis to leadership in Czechia. As you saw there in Ralph's piece, he is considered the Czech Trump, even using those red baseball caps with white lettering on them to call for a strong Czechia, and very much hoping to channel sort of MAGA attitudes in Czechia to come back to power. And he is leading in the polls and very likely to be the winner today. Now, as was mentioned there, he is anti-EU, sort of on the model of Viktor Orban, criticizing environmental policies, migration policies, things like this, and very concerning for Ukraine. He has even threatened to cut off this very highly respected program that the Czechs set up, which funneled ammunition to Ukraine when EU mechanisms were faltering. So there is a lot at stake in this election for Kyiv and for Brussels, Sarah.
Where do you see voter sentiment standing right now, and how is it being shaped? How's the campaign narrative especially being shaped by Russian disinformation, especially via platforms like TikTok?
Absolutely. This is something that has been watched with great concern because, of course, we've seen this across Europe. The Center for Online Research, an NGO there, found some 300 anonymous TikTok accounts that were promoting pro-Russian propaganda, criticizing the current government of Petr Fiala, which is pro-Western. And while 300 may not seem like that many, each of these accounts, Sarah, had millions of followers, and their posts were getting millions of views every week, far more than the registered official official parties of all of the Czech political spectrum. So that's a big concern, especially right now where we see, even in the last couple of weeks, the Russian hybrid threat on the rise. And just this morning, Sarah, we're hearing out of Denmark, for example, that Russian warships passing through the Danish Straits have seen rifles seen aimed at Danish helicopters and airplanes from those Russian ships. So certainly tension is high here and fears about Russia's influence on the rise as we see this election take place there in Prague.
DW's Teri Schultz, thank you so much.